But you first.
All right, Todd, tell us who you are and what you do, man.
My name is Todd Westra. I own a company called Moku, and we are an outsourcing solution for companies trying to grow their marketing departments without having to hire all the people to do it. So we handle all of their creatives and video editing and posting and hosting and all sorts of good stuff to get their marketing online.
Oh, look at that.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Awesome. I think you hit a bit of a dead spot, but the timing worked out well. And Néhémie, go ahead, my friend.
Hi, I'm Néhémie Kankolongo. I'm an account manager at Assurance IT. We are business continuity experts. That would include everything from cloud backup to disaster recovery, just helping you make sure you don't deal with the heavy consequences of a ransomware attack.
Nice pitch, man. I like it. You got it down.
Of course.
Amy, what do you do, man?
My name is Amy, and on Fridays I don't know what I do. No, I'm a territory account manager at Fortinet. So we are also protecting people from ransomware, but I don't have a pitch. I like refuse to pitch these days. No, I've run the full gamut of different sales roles, and I just love kind of giving back anywhere I can, and also learning from all you brilliant people. So I'm soaking it up all the time and stealing ideas, and that's how we roll. So good to be here.
Amazing. Okay, so Byron, I'm just looking at the email that we sent out, and the areas you said you'd like some help in were, how you share knowledge training among reps in a fast-paced sales environment, everybody living in different countries, you're growing fast, so natural progression is to become a manager. Maybe not sure about that. And then how'd you spend time with someone will be purchasing month to month, and you have a sales quota to hit? How to say you can't do another training session? So I don't know what order you want to do those in, and if those are still the 3 ones, but all good questions.
I'll give you guys a little intro in terms of why those questions came to mind. First off, pleasure to meet you all. Thank you for your time and for feedback as well. This is awesome. So I work at Apollo. I'm a senior account executive. Apollo is a B2B database that competes with like ZoomInfo, and we also do email automation that competes with Outreach.io. The pitch or the competitive advantage is that it's all in one place, right? Enough about Apollo. So it's fast paced. Our account executives are doing 6 to 9 demos per day. And if you forget to block off your calendar, you will do 14 demos, 17 demos. It's insane. I've never worked at a place like this. It's a great problem to have, but in such a fast paced environment, and we're all working remote, it's very hard to go back and listen to Chorus and Gong and actually sit there and who has the time? I'm finishing my days at 6 p.m. starting at 8:30. There's emails, proposals to send, right? Everything. And then there's a lot of deals that are month to month. So how do I very politely and professionally tell someone that I cannot spend more time with them, given the fact that, everything I just said, basically. We can start there, but that's why my reasoning is just so fast paced, to the point where if you don't block off your calendar, you don't even drink water. It's crazy.
Byron, I can tell you, right now I'm growing a multinational company, and so I have about 30 employees offshore right now. We're growing. I'm hiring about 3 or 4 people a week right now, and I'm also growing a domestic team. And so on my domestic team, it's kind of the same thing that you're dealing with. It's very fast. Nobody has time to really sit down and do a lot of onboarding. But I would say onboarding is the most important thing you got to do. And so for me, what I found to be super, super effective in trying to make sure everyone is on the same page is I've created a whole series of onboarding videos that are no longer than 4 or 5 minutes for each thing that I want them to really understand. And I think that is the key. If you try and sit them down for a half-hour training video, no one's going to watch it. But if you're doing 3 to 6 minute little training tidbits and organize them, I think it works. And that is what's been saving my butt, is I can give personal one-on-one training on specific things. And when there's a new product or a new tweak that we're doing to the business, before I even talk to anybody, I record a 3 to 5 minute little video talking about what I want to talk to them about. And then I just make sure that they either hear it from me directly or on the video. And man, it saves my butt. And I know it's a pain in the butt to do it, but better to do it once than to do it 30 or 40 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to take a step back as well, we do have an onboarding process. We have a CSM team, we have a onboarding managers, the whole shebang. And there's a knowledge center that has training videos. When you log into Apollo, there's like a take your onboarding tour. There's videos everywhere. But there are people that want to strategize. Given our expertise at Apollo, given the fact that we talk to so many people, we're pretty damn good at what we do in terms of like figuring out your ICP, what's the right messaging, how can you increase your deliverability rates, how can you improve your response rates, more meetings, more business. So those are the folks that end up wanting to spend up a lot of time, right? They're small business owners sometimes. They don't have a lot of clue how to do this. Like today, right? I don't know the name, I forgot, but there's this senior account executive, single license, month to month, paying out of pocket. And he asked me for more time for training today. He already watched the videos, but he wants some tips and tricks, right? So I gave him my calendar for 15 minutes and he shot me back an email like, hey, can we do this for 30? I was like, I really can't. Dude, I can't.
Byron, here's another tip. Group meetings with your people, with your clients. And because everybody's got the same, they got the same questions. You know what I mean? Like all of them they all think they have this unique need. Yeah, and all you do is get them on one weekly call, say, hey, I've got 1 hour a week for Q&A session. Submit your questions ahead of time. Otherwise they don't get asked. And so when you can get everyone to submit their questions, if it's that important to them, they will. And then they get on that group call and literally you just run through the questions, cut it off at an hour, and you've spent 1 hour answering probably the same question 50 times in one session. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's something that Fortinet does like once a month. There's like, customer podcasts and things like that and webinars that they do. And they cover specific topics, right? And I know one of those topics is going to be relevant to one of my customers, but another thing I do is make sure that, I think upfront communication about the value of your time is really important and the value of like your team's time. So I'll have people get on the phone or send me an email and saying, I need to get on a call with your engineers today. And I'm like, that's not going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just straight up with them. I'm like, look, my engineers book up sometimes a week in advance. So, knowing that, let me see what they have later this week. I'll shoot you a couple times, but, we're really going to be limited because really we need to be shooting for a week out to get time on their schedule. And I make sure they understand, like, this is across the board. It's for everyone. It doesn't matter if you've got a fire or not. I have to respect my engineers' calendars. And by default, that means I'm more limited in the time that I have and the scope of conversation. So, I'll do things like I'll start a working document with the customer. And it could just be something as simple as a Word document, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, brain dump on this. Send me all of your little questions and, ideas that you have or whatever. And I will get you the resources and information to answer those. And the questions we can't answer, just me as kind of a pre-sales person, we'll loop in a week from now on a call with my engineer or whoever to do a deeper dive. And that way you can kind of control your time and also your company's time. And it makes you and your product seem more valuable as a result, because you're not just like, like super hungry and hardcore. And I'll say balance that and temper that. And I'm sure you probably know this, so this is probably preaching to the choir. There are some accounts where I'm going to drop everything and get on the phone.
Oh yeah, of course.
$1,000 deal. And I'm like, hell yeah, you can have me now for the rest of my afternoon.
Yes.
But and that's just the maturity of like, doing what you do, where, like, hey, if I do this call and I give them an hour of my time, this deal is done. And it's, you can get it across the finish line. So. And
I think what you were also going to say there, Amy, is that there's some that are the exact opposite. They will call you 20 times a day. And they are not, I'm trying to find a nice way of saying it, but they're not high value. They're just high.
Yeah. That's when emails are incredibly efficient and like being like, just email me.
It's so incredibly fast paced here that a VP of sales once not scolded me, but he reprimanded me because I didn't have my cell phone number in my signature. I was like, you don't get it, man. Like, I don't want people calling me. I don't have time to receive your phone calls. Email me, man. Like,
I get text messages.
Oh no, I can't do that.
it's nuts. But the thing is that I tout myself, and I know this is hard, as being like a Johnny on the spot sort of person. But you still have to figure out how to value your time and control that. But being that sort of a sales rep is going to lead to dividends down the road. So I've had people that were small customers come to me and say, you know, when I talk to you, the attention that you give me makes me feel like I'm a big multi-million-dollar account. And I know you have those, but the fact that you're taking the time to answer my questions and to get me the resources I need really makes me feel valued. I mean, I literally got that from a customer. And now I have 2 opportunities in my pipeline for this guy that I wouldn't have had, I don't think, if I had given him a little bit more time. So again, it's all balance, man.
That's
I mean, I feel you. It's probably the struggle we all struggle with. I'd like to know, Néhémie, like what, you know, because you're on the newer side to sales, right? Like this is like what, 2 going on a year and a half or so now?
Sales for closer to 3, but SaaS specifically, I'm still in my first year. I've just been moving up fairly quickly, I guess.
Nice.
I'd like to hear how you do it, you know, kind of being like a fresh perspective on it, so to speak.
Well, I'm interested because one of the things that I'm looking at the email that was sent here is you were talking about sharing knowledge and training among reps. So I'm kind of curious, how do you guys handle playbooks right now, Byron?
Well, we have chorus and our dialer records and transcribes, but the truth is, like, nobody has the time to do it right now. So my manager just implemented a bull in the ring where once a week we have all the account executives and he chooses one random call from a different account executive. He plays it out loud for everybody, and then we give feedback. I just suggested that we do bull of the week instead, where if Amy, if you're the bull of the week, so Francois, Néhémie, Todd, myself, we all have to pick one random call on your calendar, log in, and then give feedback in real time. That way we don't waste your time, Amy, and we all just have to have to spend 30 minutes of our day, of our week really, and learning how others pitch. Because one thing I miss about my old job or being in person really was hearing other people pitch, right? Right now, I have no clue what my coworkers are saying. I don't know what the inside jokes are. I don't know if they got this little new catchphrase that's just killing it with customers, that they're all laughing, right on cue. I don't know. So I want to be able to hear what other people are saying, but that's brand new. We haven't even implemented it. It's going to start next week. And we just started a book club as well, where we're going to read 1 chapter a week and discuss and break it down. Sales books, of course, but we haven't really, other than that, not much else.
Because I was going to say, I can't, no, go ahead, Todd.
No, I was just going to say, one thing that I found really handy as I've been growing my team is to, you know, I'm an offshore guy. And so I literally have 2, and I'm thinking about bringing on a 3rd person that all they do is listen to like the last 10 minutes of every Zoom call that our salespeople have and ensure that we are doing whatever we said we were going to do in the wrap-ups and just kind of catching on to those last few minutes of dialogue and making sure that those tasks have been assigned, that if there's a proposal to be delivered, that it was delivered. And it is building such a massive support for our sales team that we do kind of catch on to what the trends are. We do kind of catch on to what our commitments are. And we also find out really effectively, you know, like, what is it that we don't have that we are going to promise to get back to those people on? Because we always do this, right? It's like, oh, shoot, yeah, that's a good idea. We need to, let me see if I can get back to you on that. And then we don't. And so, but just by having someone listen to the last 10 minutes of every Zoom call I'm on.
Oh, we lost him.
But
that's a great freeze frame.
Many times, because usually there's something we can use in a training call, and then you do that training call once a week and do it. Yes, Amy, that's how bad I am, and I know I'm bad.
No, your phone froze, your video froze, and your face was like this. It was like this. It's perfect.
Crap. All right. Well, did you hear me?
Yes,
yeah, we did. We heard it.
We did.
Oh, dang. Okay, good.
Well, Néhémie,
Byron,
what were you gonna say?
I mean, well, I can't unfortunately share my screen at the moment. But one of the things that I was gonna plug in a product.
I can let you share your screen. Hold on here.
Okay, give me because I was gonna plug in something because why not?
Do
it's
it
on Friday.
Please do.
People are watching this. Do I get to? I get to. Okay, so the reason why I asked is because I was gonna show you something like this. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
So obviously, I'm a UVaR graduate. I got to plug in some kite stuff. One of the ways that I think that might be helpful in order for you to be able to spread even maybe close to real-time information would be kind of a component of something like this. It doesn't have to be specifically kite, but kite allows shared playbooks. So for example, this is
Wow.
kind of an example for a playbook for closed loop specifically. But this is something that within all of the, you can obviously set it up where everybody gets access to this. But if
Yeah.
you were to get all the AEs to be able to talk about kind of the issues that they're having with whatever the issues that they're having, or even any type of breakthroughs, this would be a place that they could share that kind of information and write it down. And even it could be an info also to like ask questions like, hey, I'm having struggles with this, or is anybody having a breakthrough with this, where you can put it in whenever, and then whenever everybody else has time, they can either add to it, answer the question, or just add more questions where there's the constant, because I'm not sure how you guys are communicating. I'm assuming you're obviously sharing emails, but like, do you guys use Teams or Slack or anything like that to communicate internally?
Yeah, we have Slack and Notion. The reality is that in order to hit our sales numbers, quite frankly, I don't have that much time to come in here and add. We have a frequently asked questions doc and all that good stuff as well. But for me, the most useful has always been just listening to other people pitch, which is why I'm excited about Bull of the Week, but we haven't even started it. But like, we have stuff like that on Notion, but I don't think I've never gone to Notion, quite frankly, and just like gone to explore or anything. Typically, I being a senior on the team, some other folks rely on me, so they'll ask me directly questions on Slack. I doubt they're going in and adding them on Notion on the frequently asked question docs, to be honest, right? Yeah, but that is pretty cool. So that's how you guys use it over there, your reps, like they're able to see all the.
Well, I'm on a smaller team. We're definitely not doing 17 demos a day, that's for sure. So I'm on a much smaller scale than you, but that's something that I found is very easy to kind of be able to share information between the reps that we have. We're a very much smaller startup than Apollo. So I'm right now, it's only kind of like a two person sales team at the moment. So it's fairly easy for me to contact with essentially my manager who's handling the rest of the sales. So you have a good problem to have, but I guess that was just kind of my idea
definitely.
of, that was just kind of my idea of how to share some of that information very quickly and internally. But obviously, if you're having to book by the hour, it's a different level.
Well, have you? Oh, go ahead, please.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, I think there's some onus too on the sales rep in the initial training to understand, like, you know, a part of the onboarding system should be, okay, you're always gonna need these websites, you're always gonna need these documents. Here is access to, you know, X, Y, and Z. And I'll say that, you know, when I first started at Fortinet, it was in the middle of COVID and they were still trying to figure out this whole remote worker thing. And it was like, holy crap, where do I find everything? And, you know, 6 months in, I was like, wait a second, what are you guys talking about? And I didn't even have access to things. And part of that was the learning curve, right? But as a sales rep, I can't wait around on other people to tell me what I should and shouldn't be doing. If I need a data sheet or I need, you know, whatever, I need to be savvy enough to kind of know kind of the generalized sourcing of where I can find that information. And we have a team chat and our engineers are on it. So like you should have, so basically what we do is we have our team chat, which includes our manager and our manager's manager and engineers. And we can ask pre-sales specific questions, technical questions, you know, hey, does this AP and this AP, are they comparable or whatever? And the cool thing about that is someone's going to respond. Someone from the team that is either more experienced is going to come back and respond and say, here's the answer. Or my engineer's going to jump in the mix, or they're going to link to a data sheet or whatever it is. But what's helpful about it is it saves the entire chat. So all you have to do is search, like, oh, I know someone put, you know, the last price list in there before. And I just search price list and boom, there it is. And as a sales rep, that's like one of the go-to spots for me for streamlining my day. Because otherwise I'd spend, you know, probably 20 minutes a day just twiddling my thumbs trying to remember where crap is and who do I go to and what's this frequently asked question. And no, I don't think the onus should be on any one person to keep an FAQ document or a SOP manual updated. I think it's gotta be a collaborative company-wide or team-wide thing. So are you guys on like Teams or is it just one big sales department?
I think he said Slack.
We're on
Into
Slack,
right?
yeah. We use,
No,
yeah,
I
and
mean,
we
do you
have,
guys have like segmented, like, are
oh,
you over like 5 people and like, here's
gotcha.
another team and,
So right now there are 9 AEs, and pretty soon we're gonna break out into 2 teams. And in those 9 AEs, we just have one boss at the moment, one
Mhm.
manager, and we have pods of 3. So there's 3 different pods of 3, and I have a little private Slack group with my pod basically.
yeah, I might think that maybe for your sake, it just have 2 and your manager is kind of the ultimate like overseer of the
smart.
group, right? Right, the Slack manager, because you guys don't have time to necessarily be on it, monitoring what questions are popping up or whatever. But that's what my manager's job is. Like he's on that team channel and anything that pops up, he's looking at it and he's usually the first one to respond. And I think as a manager, you're asking about like, advancing into management roles. I feel like as a manager, you kind of take a little bit of a step away from the selling role. And it is more of a, how do I provide my team with the resources they need or get them the answers or the support they need to go and hit quota. So that's one of the things that my manager is kind of above, is like making sure that he's like shepherding the sheep, and he's redirecting us and kind of be,
Yeah.
so I don't know, that's just an idea is as you grow and scale, make sure you keep like, I think there's probably about 10 of us on our team, in our little team bubble. And I think that's one way to, as you grow and scale, to still keep the intimacy that you need as a team.
Yeah.
And really quick to resource hunt and get answers to your questions.
Amy, I think that you bring up you're leading into a really, really, really good point that I think that both Néhémie and Byron need to remember as they're growing and scaling those teams at the pace that they are. The managers really have to pull themselves out of doing all the AE work and doing all that stuff so that they can be that resource. Because I think that that's a problem I'm facing right now is I'm still trying to pull myself out of a lot of the roles that I'm developing. And so as you guys do develop the management level of these teams and grow into more and more pods, you got to make sure that the one in charge is not in a pod anymore.
Oh yeah, our boss doesn't sell.
Roles.
Yeah,
okay,
our boss
cool.
doesn't sell anymore. Yeah, he's been the VP of sales for a few months
Awesome.
now. He definitely does not have a quota or anything.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. No.
Well, his quota is our quota.
Common problem.
And
Right.
that's important though. I mean, it kind of gives, I mean, his job is dependent on how well you do your jobs.
Exactly.
So, and not to say you're only as good as your management, because I think that's BS. I think that you can be successful as an individual contributor, even if you have a sucky manager, but it does help, if you have a manager that's there kind of advocating for you. And I think that strong management skills and being able to multitask and not only submit forecasts and all the crap, the numbers games that you have to play, but also the taking care of your team, making sure they're getting what they need from a training perspective is going to be huge. I will say this, like you mentioned the chorus thing and listening to calls and stuff, man, every time I've talked with people, and this is probably maybe why I've been hesitant to like even try to sell technology like that, I sit there and say to myself, like, there is no way I would want people listening to my calls. And 2, because I go off the rails, like my style is not like buttoned up. Like they would be like head scratching on a, call review. Like, Amy, you are doing everything wrong. And I just like, but, and also the fact is, when do you review those? Like on the weekends when you want to be as far removed from
when you're
your
sending
job?
proposals at the end of the day and there's words everywhere. Yeah.
But I do like the idea that Todd had of like just taking the end of those calls and like the next steps, because man, I can't tell you. I mean, I'm old school and I keep a Word document and I just write down my next steps in my Word document on my call. And I've like
Amy,
lost Word
crap.
documents. I know,
like,
I'm
for
sorry.
real? That's what you're doing?
A notebook. I spilled coffee on a notebook once and I literally had to email a customer like,
you lost
hey,
your pipeline.
Yeah, totally spilled coffee all over my notes and follow-ups. And what was I supposed to do? But so don't do that. But I do like the idea of like having that that accountability for follow-ups, because that's like I think we get lost. We just move from one demo to the next. And that's when that crap stacks up. And then we don't have time for training. We certainly don't have time for call reviews because we're too busy doing admin.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, since we're on the managerial talk, I am curious about my last point, because like I mentioned in the email that I sent y'all, like the natural progression of my career is to become a manager if it's on the table, if I wanted in a few months. And at first I was super excited. I was like, hell yes, this is 125% what I want. This is what I've been working for. I've been promoted to senior at all my previous roles. This is next. And then I was like, wait a minute. My commission is going to depend on other people's performance. And I don't want to be a micromanager, right? That would suck. Nobody likes a micromanager. So how do you handle that fear, especially in the beginning, right? Especially with new reps, because whoever the new manager becomes, like they're going to inherit they're going to be in charge of a completely new team who has never sold the tool, never seen it before, right? So how do you calm that fear of my commission now depends on other folks? And I'm confident in my own training abilities and skills, but it's just that unknown, right? Right now, I know I'm going to hit my numbers. I'm going to get paid X amount every month, right? I know it, but then it's just like, oh my God.
Well, maybe the answer is not to transition to a manager role. Maybe it's to transition into selling something that has a higher price point as far as your base salary plus commission. So overall OTE range is higher. Like,
but I am excited about.
I mean, not
training,
saying like
though.
Leave what you're doing. I'm just saying,
no,
like,
I get it.
Because I'm in the same boat as you. I'm like, oh my God, I would be a horrible manager. Like sometimes I think that to myself because I know my limitations, and I also know I'm a little bit of not a control freak, but if someone's not doing something right, I want to jump in and fix it for them. And as a manager, you can't always do that. You can give them the tools and the support. So I don't really have anything to add here other than saying, like, I think that I'm struggling with the same exact thing in my career. And the answer I came up with was, maybe I don't go into management. Maybe if I want to advance my career in that next step in direction and kind of income level, I just move up to the enterprise space or selling another technology that is going to pay a little bit better than what I'm doing now. So I don't know. That's what I would say, because I'm right there with you.
I would ask quickly, Byron, if you do become a manager, would you be responsible for hiring?
I would, yeah. I get to choose my own team and everything.
Yeah, I think I mean, if that is something that you would want to do, I think that the best way to get over that fear is to either do training or get more knowledge in best hiring practices and how to figure out, because when you're a manager, you get to control to a certain extent your team. And I think that that's one of the best things about being a manager is you get to actually choose and who's the right fit, who's the right character, who has the right experience, right work ethic, whatever you need. I think that's obviously, if you do want to continue that role, I think that's one of the ways to maybe slightly get over that fear, is that you do have a bit of control of who works for you, who's under your team, who works with you, I should say, who's really under your team and who you really want to grow and watch develop. I think it's one of the ways to maybe get slightly over that. It's still scary, obviously, but you would have control over that to a certain extent.
Byron, I'd also throw in there that you need to, like, the clearer you are as a manager, or the clearer your manager is on what your objectives are, everyone feels more inclined to help each other get there. And so I would say that if you're trying to spell that role out and really trying to define that role, I would just get super, super clear with your team as you're building the team and with the existing members. Just be like, okay, realistically, where are we headed? How are we going to get there? How do we help each other? Because right now we're all over the place and we're scatterbrained and we're just trying to settle in. Let's figure out, how do we settle in? What metrics actually matter to us to get us to the metrics that our manager or the CEO wants? Because if you guys are super clear on those metrics and how you can help each other, then it really does get fun. And if you're a type of manager that just is going to watch numbers and get pissed at people, nobody likes to work. They don't like to perform for that. But when you guys set the personal metrics yourself, and you guys are in charge of what those metrics are, it does get really fun.
Byron, I got a couple of points. One, I think kind of Amy touched on this, but I think there's like this, I don't want to say it's like a myth, but in sales, I think, people think the natural progression is I'll go from like, SDR, AE, VP of sales to, I don't know what, chief revenue officer. And that's okay. But I think we all know there's people who've stayed, whatever title it is, individual contributor, and they've done very, very well. And they've just stayed individual contributor their whole career. And I think it comes down to, like, you're obviously in the trench, you've been in the trenches. Now, do you want to have a team and you want to lead a team? And it doesn't mean that you want to be some lone wolf and don't want to train people. But like, the reality is, like, yeah, you get to train that team and help them, like Todd was saying, but ultimately you're reporting up to people who, that it's forecasts, it's numbers. You're shielding that team from BS. That's your job, man. Like, you are literally, BS is raining down on you all day and you are shielding it. That is your job.
Yeah. And effective managers do a really good job of, shit does roll downhill. Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
And most corporations, even startups, are going to get to that point where it's going to come down to numbers, right? Revenue is the chief motivating factor in a company's success in a lot of ways. And it will always be the case in a capitalistic type of environment.
Yeah.
But a good manager, they shield you from that pressure. And like Todd said, the metrics are huge. So like, we complained about, one of the metrics that we were using was the number of calls a day, right? And the problem was our phone systems were shoddy because of like the remote worker thing. And, I would make 40 calls, but it was only recording I made 20. And, you can imagine the frustration when the metric, it's an activity metric and no one seems to be hitting it. And we're just getting constantly bombarded by management. Like, you're not doing enough. But we're like, yeah, but we're closing deals and the business is getting done. So something's obviously working. And so they removed that metric. It's no longer, if I don't sell anything for a month, they're probably going to ask me for my dials, but right now it is not an activity metric that they are tracking anymore because of that. And I feel like a good organization and a good manager, like Todd said, is kind of able to pick and choose. The other thing I would say is Néhémie made a great point about picking your team. I think that's huge because you can also pick people you would want to work with. Like, don't pick your, the anti Byron because they're going to annoy the hell out of you. And as a manager, you're probably gonna, it's going to be an abrasive relationship. The other thing I would say is try it. And if you don't like it or you're going to be successful or are successful, go back to being an individual contributor. Mm-hmm. No one's going to turn down a guy with management experience coming in saying, you know what? I tried the whole management thing. It wasn't my cup of tea. I really like this aspect of what I do. They're not going to turn down someone with that experience. And I think that's where I've gotten to in my mind and my career is, okay, you know what? If the opportunity comes my way, would I try it? Yes. Would I give it my all? Yes. But at the end of the day, I know if I needed to go back into, the trenches, so to speak, I'm perfectly capable of doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's
point. What I would say, because I'm right in the same place as you in my career path. So
nothing to lose. Try it out.
I as a manager or owner of a company, I love people that love their role. And I love when people are just like, you know what, I'm so happy just being right here and I kick butt at it. So just leave me here.
You're in your closet right now.
Hey, does that really matter, Amy, where I'm at? Because you know what?
You're giving such good advice in the closet. It's awesome. I love you, Todd. You're awesome.
Just don't ask me to come out of the closet.
Okay, I won't go there.
Okay.
Because that was a coming. Oh man.
Well, Todd, I'm curious. Like I would say you've probably got more experience than all of us here. Like, is it I don't want to say it's an untrue myth, but like, I think people often go sometimes like up the ladder, like, VP, whatever, because of title. Obviously there is the, I don't want to say like people think they'll make more money, but I would say like you can make just as much money staying as an individual contributor or going up that VP route. Would you agree or disagree?
You know what? I think that I've hired people who are awesome at a role that would be horrible managers. And so I just leave them there and I'm like, look, what do I need to do to incentivize you to stay in this role? Because I just think you're better here.
Yeah.
And some, like, you can get so creative with your numbers that, I see some people that I hire immediately, and they're my newest hire, and I'm like, that's my next manager for this department. I don't care how much experience they've got. That's who's going to run this department in like 3 months. And so for me, that's like, personality is everything. And some people just weren't meant for specific roles. And so don't make them uncomfortable by putting them where they feel uncomfortable, unless they really want to. Like I like to ask people, I'm like, hey, are you cool where you're at? Or what do you think if I put this person in charge of your department? And sometimes that is like the best feedback I get in building that infrastructure, is just like, okay, how do you feel about that? Because I think, honestly, I like you where you're at.
Yeah, I feel like you need to pull a shirt off the hanger and say, are you willing to wear this shirt for a day? See, I'm sorry.
So
I gotta.
Okay, no more closet puns, but I completely agree with Todd. I think.
Go ahead, Néhémie.
I got a question for you, Byron, because I'm reading it again, and you said that you know that you want it, you love training and sharing tips and best practices. So after all this information that we've given you, has anything changed in your perspective on that? Because it seems like it's something that you really, really want, and I don't want us to be giving you an opinion on all this when it's all
not at all.
your decision to make.
Yeah, well, something that's very calming is what Amy said, that I guess it's so obvious, but sometimes you forget to tell yourself the obvious, right? Like, if I try it out and I'm a manager for 3 months and I absolutely hate it, and I go to my VP of sales, just say I still love Apollo and I am happy here, right? And I just say, hey, VP, actually kind of didn't like this. Can I just go back? They're for sure going to take me, Amy. They're not going to be like, well, Byron, actually, you should probably leave. No, they're going to want to take my 120% of quota every month, right? So, like, that's a very good point. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Byron, I would say too, one thing that I absolutely love is when people create a role. They create a role, like they see an issue that department's facing, and they're like, hey, I'm seeing this common issue that we're all having. I would love to be able to create a program where we like trained on this and this. And I'm like, yeah, please do it. And like, that is the best type of proactive approach you could take in trying to build that department, is being like, hey, you know what? I really think we need some kind of QA mechanism here that measures our ability to perform off of, at the end of each of these demos, what are we actually doing? And boom, if you just suggest the right thing, now you just created your own role, and you can make up the rules. You know what I mean?
I read a post.
I agree.
I forgot to your point, Todd. I forgot who posted it on LinkedIn. It was like a Colin Cadmus or one of those guys. And he said about how he recommended having like a salesperson that's like the salesperson of the people, basically. No quota. And their job is just to walk around the floor. In this case, it would be just to be invited on Zoom calls all day. And your job is solely to be not a sales engineer, sales support, whatever you want to call it, but just the person, the rep still leads and drives the whole conversation. But for those few key conversations or, kind of key accounts or very specific questions, that's where the other person would come in. And he was talking about how that person did not have a quota. It used to be a top performer, and how it increased the close rate for everybody on the team, just to have that ability to on the spot be like, yo, you're coming in with me. We have a call in 2 minutes, right? And we're talking to the VP of this and blah, blah, blah. And that's interesting, Todd. Like, I never thought about what if I could create a program where instead of me carrying a quota, I increase the sales team's conversion rate by X percentage, right? To where it makes sense financially for me to just be a fly on the wall. That's actually pretty cool.
I'll tell you,
continuity specialist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll tell you, that is my career in a nutshell. So when so one of the things that I found the most value in my career was cross training in other departments. So cross training in post sales and all these customer service and all these different organization or departments within the organization, so I could learn the back end process of how my company and organization functions like really, really well. And then what would end up happening is, because I knew how this department works and I knew you had to do X, Y, and Z in order to do that, when I was having conversations with customers, they would ask me questions about, well, what happens when this, this, or how about that? And I'm still at that point in Fortinet where I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to find that out for you. But my goal is to get to the point where I'm like savvy enough with how the company functions and how little different components work that I don't have to turn to anyone else. I can be like, yeah, this is how that works. But one thing that does for you in your career is people within your organization see that. They see that you are willing to go out on a limb and put yourself in the shoes of other departments, really learn the whole intricacies of the organization. And all of a sudden you are lethal, right? You are so valuable to that organization. And that type of role, that continuity role, where you come in and maybe you don't hold a quota or something, or you've create a role or a position, cross training. I don't know if you guys do anything like that. That is huge. So once a month, you pick a rep or whatever to cross train in this department, onboarding or not onboarding. Yeah, onboarding customers or CSR, whatever. And then I think that doing something like that would allow you guys to grow roles like what Todd just mentioned, or what you just mentioned. And having that continuity person on all the calls and stuff, because that is really valuable, and having kind of that outsider's perspective, not only what you're saying and doing on your calls, but also the inside knowledge of the company. I mean, it's almost like having your own little, expert guru on your team or on your calls.
Updates.
Yeah.
Is that a thing, or did you guys just make it up, by the way, Amy and Todd? Is continuity specialist a thing?
Continuity specialist.
Yeah, we're creative.
I love it.
Pretty cool.
Every time you said it, Amy, because you just said it like 3 times, it's like, I like that role.
It sounds good.
Rolls off the tongue.
I need to put someone in that role.
Well, I was just going to start looking on LinkedIn, like who is a continuity specialist in the sales world, because I want to follow them and mimic them and see what they're up to. And
Hey, Byron, quick question. Like one thing, and I know this will be tricky because it sounds like right now, like every minute is accounted for in your day. But I think like Todd and Amy have kind of alluded to this, like,
Todd is like migrating during the call.
And 3 different outfits too.
I hope we end the call in coveralls. Anyway.
He just climbs into bed. Just like, hey guys.
But one thing
oh God, I love it.
It's Friday.
I told you, Byron, you have to laugh on this or it doesn't work. But the one thing that you've probably been told before, right, is like, sometimes like try and do some of the roles in the role you're trying to do already, right? So, that VP is probably helping with some training, like, so that when you go to do the role, you can be like, hey, I'm already doing like 3/4, or I've done 3/4 of these things today. Like, I can literally just slide into that position. The challenge with that is, how can you do that and add that to your plate? So there may be some mentoring, there may be some coaching, like there might be some elements you can do today.
Well, and I am already. So the Bull in the Ring was my idea, then the transport to Bull of the Week. The book club, I just launched it as well. A lot of the training, I'm helping my VP of sales do the flight school, which is our onboarding school, basically. And I'm writing, and I also I also asked them to give me a full week of training, because I want to give them training on, they give you product training, and everybody gives you product training. That's great. But what about just basic email follow-up cadences? How often should you be following up? How should you follow up? What is a good follow-up email? Not just sequences and automated emails, how to actually you yourself sit down, type a good follow-up email, how to not follow up as often, all those little things, like what tools to use. And like our email box, I'm sure this is true for all of you guys. When you start a new job, your inbox just get flooded with unnecessary things. I get about 500 emails a day. Somebody added a credit card from the self-serve filter. I filtered those out. I asked one of the reps who's been here for 9 months. He has 6,000 unread emails. I was like, you know how much money you have right there on the table? I was like, have you filtered out your emails? So little things like that nobody tells you besides the product, like,
6,000.
Filter out these specific emails and it'll save you an hour of admin a day, right? Little things like that where I think I can just come in. So I've asked them, and I am already writing out the playbook for that specific week. And so I am doing a few things, which I'm excited about for sure, but I still have that quota. And like, I'm doing webinars for the company as well. I'm starting to become more of the, like, I wouldn't call myself the face of the company by all means, but I would like to become, like, you guys have all seen posts by Sarah by Gong. You guys have all seen posts from Jed from Panda Docs, right? So like that's what I want to kind of become.
You're the stash of the company.
Yeah, the stash.
Yes.
That's it.
Exactly.
Byron the stash.
Yeah.
I think that the way you talk right now, it screams like management already. You have that heart for it. It seems like I don't think there would be any downside to you stepping into a management role. I feel like that's you're already doing that. I mean, you're already demonstrating that. So
just create your own role the way you want it instead of being shoved into somewhere that sucks.
Yeah, I really like what you two said about that. I'm gonna just look into it more. I'm gonna reread that post. I saved it on my LinkedIn profile. I remember I hit save because I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so true
Scott
though.
Barker.
And the other thing you can do too, and like, I don't think any of us are saying we don't think you're trying or doing things, but like, and this isn't so much pitching what we're doing, but like if you're seeing other reps and it's like, hey, I think you could get help if you went, I don't know, and hung out with the guys at SDR Nation, or maybe, this email cadence group, like there are, I can't think the names right now, but there are groups that are just like email nerds, like, hey, let's talk about. Amy, didn't you start a LinkedIn group about that?
We started one, and then it's like Slack and everything else. It was like because we have day jobs, you know what I mean? I'm like,
I'd like to know who you had in that group. That's one of my biggest challenges right now is writing emails, cadences, and sequences for my clients.
So
it was more memes, like what are cool memes to put in emails? It was really immature.
Amy, I think you backed me up. We had Will. Well, there's two Wills at Lavender on here, and they're both really good there. And I think like we're not reselling their product, but I think they're good at it. But they're also their product's pretty helpful too. I don't know if have you ever used it, Byron?
Which one? Which product? Lavender. I have not.
Okay, I'll connect you with Will. They're super good guys. Like I think they're dealing with companies like you.
Oh, Lavender. Yeah, Will from Lavender actually. He's a CEO.
Yeah, there's two Wills. There's a CEO and a C something.
They have a yellow website. Oh wait,
no, it's Lavender.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, please introduce me. That'd be great. I'd love to learn about it and potentially use it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, I mean, but I think like for you, like if you see reps struggling in certain areas, being able to, point them to somewhere and because I think like Amy was saying, I think it's in your nature, like you like helping people, right? It isn't just this self-serving thing like, hey, I helped Amy and so I want all the credit. Like you actually want to see Todd and Néhémie do better. And you're happy to like point them to something, and it's not just so you get the pat on the back, like you want to see them do better. And so, there's so many resources out there and it's amazing. Some people just don't know. Like, I've been participating on Thursday night sales. I don't have as much time as I'd like to, but I've learned some great things there. Some people have spent time on Rev Genius, but there's tons of resources out there and some people just don't know about them or maybe like afraid to go.
Yeah. And they're free too, right? Like the Thursday night sales is amazing. It's a great resource. I bought for a few coworkers. It was on sale. Kevin Dorsey's Udemy Masterclass. It was down to $14.99, so I sent it to a few coworkers.
Really?
Yeah.
And I want to launch
Kevin is good. He's really good.
And then I want to launch a training on the course, so it doesn't. That's the biggest thing I've learned with previous trainings from old managers at different jobs. Like training, you learn all these lessons and then you never follow up. So, or you read 100 books and then you never actually apply anything. So I want to make sure that that's why the book club and like one chapter a week. And are you actually going to apply something? And like the training course that we purchased, like I didn't just want it to do it individually and then you're done after 4 hours, but then you never talk about it. I want to make sure like we actually discuss it, and maybe it should be a purchase for every single new hire, because Kevin starts with talking about like working remote and mindset and stuff like that, which is important. So
yeah. And I think sometimes getting away from sales and business books in general as an organization and just reading something more mindful is huge, because the more like ingrained we get into like, oh, must be a sales rep. Sometimes the worse we can be at our jobs. The less I sell, the better. And so the same thing, I'll read a book and I'm like, what was I supposed to do again? and then next thing you know, I'm just back to doing my day-to-day job. And, you know, I get value from it for sure, but I think I get more value, like you mentioned, like in kind of listening to other people. Like
Yeah.
5 on Friday's been, I mean, I've loved coming on here because I've learned so much from all the people that have been on here. Néhémie, when I watched him at Uvaro do his pitch, I was like, damn, that man is awesome. Like he crushed it, and it was his personality. And I was like, that is legit. Like he's going to be really successful because it was like no holds barred. Like, here I am, this is who I am. But it drew you in. And I feel like as sales reps, sometimes we get bogged down in, you know, the business jargon and the sales jargon, and we forget to be just people.
Yeah.
And
It's funny you talk
can't
about that.
teach
Just to piggyback off that, it's when you talk about reading outside of business, right? Currently, I'm reading more philosophies and more like just like super old philosophies, like French stuff, you know, Eastern stuff. And I feel like that kind of helps me, especially in this space, dealing with. I was thankfully my background was already in sports, so I've dealt with different people from different cultures and cultural backgrounds and things like that. So that helped. But kind of reading those things kind of allowed me to kind of take a different perspective at the individual that I'm talking to. Obviously, there's a business behind that person, but definitely the individual is the person who, you know, hopefully becomes your champion or becomes somebody that likes you and also wants to work with you. And then behind that is the organization that you'll be selling to. And I think that perspective, you know, I'm probably a more philosophical guy. I can get into these deep conversations sometimes, but that helps to kind of get away from all the business jargon, because people aren't robots. They're individuals with, you know, families and scars and different aspects of life. And that's helped me kind of get a different perspective on that.
Yeah, that's
Very
awesome.
true. Very powerful too. Instead of I like that idea. What books are anything you recommend? Sorry.
No, go ahead, Néhémie. What do you recommend?
Well, just give me answer the next question and I'll bring it out real quick. It was a birthday gift.
Hey, you
Nice.
know what you should do, Byron? You know those motivational posters? We should totally bring those back. Like those super cornball ones. Like the guy like climbing the mountain.
Yes.
Whatever happened to those? Those were really.
Well,
I'm sure.
I think there were so many demotivational ones that it kind of counteracted itself.
I think they're all over doctors'
Byron,
offices.
do you ever wear your
doctors'
hats?
offices.
Do you ever wear your
Right.
hats on your calls?
I don't because of the headphones, but a lot of people do comment on the LinkedIn picture for sure. Let me remove my, this is going to be a bit embarrassing, but let me remove my Zoom background since this is live and going on YouTube anyway, right? So
I didn't make my bed, so thankfully it's not in frame.
I went to Oaxaca, Mexico once with my wife and saw some hats, and I ended up going crazy. I called them up and ordered a bunch of them. So I launched an Etsy shop. So now my hats are all in trash cans right here.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's right. You sell hats. Cool.
My wife,
awesome.
You make them or do you just resell them?
I just resell them. I order them wholesale from Oaxaca, Mexico. They're handmade wool hats. Like I have one right here, actually.
Ooh, that's cool.
And I get them for 21 bucks landed here in my house in LA. 100% handmade, 100% wool. And I usually sell them from anywhere from 60 to 80 bucks.
Those are nice, man.
Yeah, they're really well made too. They're nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You just sell them on Etsy? Etsy is
on Etsy, yeah.
Give us your link for your store and we'll put it in the comments on the post today.
Yeah,
we'll, like
definitely.
plug the hat.
I'm a side hustle guy.
I'll plug this in real quick. It's just called The Philosophy Book. It was a birthday gift from my girlfriend's sister, actually. It's quick, cool. You know, it's obviously super intense ideas, but just wrapped up in a page or two. It's a good lunch read whenever you're in between. I don't know if you even have lunch, but it sounds of your schedule with 17 Devils. But if you eat sometimes during your day, it's a quick little like table coffee book, and it's helped me kind of understand different perspectives.
That's awesome.
You know, Byron, jumping back in that too. How do you have you guys done the webinar like group demo deals? Like, how does that work? If you get like 10 people in a demo, is that not as effective as trying to do it one-on-ones with everybody all day long?
That's a great question. I've proposed it before, and I guess I waited on somebody else to organize it, but after this conversation, I'm definitely going to do it myself, where I'm going to group a bunch of people and put it out there on LinkedIn and stuff like that. And maybe even we have a partnerships manager, tell them to set it up. But that's a great idea because it would be very useful. At the end of the day, I sell a product to where everybody has the same pain points, quite frankly, right? You're trying to grow your business. I don't your story is important. Discovery is obviously important, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like all the same.
I'm gonna plug a puzzle. You never buy this. Is Satan in a box? That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got.
Here's a
All
plug.
right.
Don't buy it.
Don't buy it.
It's a negative. I think it's a detachment from the plug, not a plug.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this was fun.
Okay, well, I know we're
Nice.
just at the top of the hour here. I know everybody's busy. Todd's changed scenery one more time, which is amazing.
Well, I got one more coming. I'm going to passenger seat, apparently. My wife doesn't want me driving with all the kids.
Awesome.
Oh, I don't know what that says about you, Todd.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for making time, Byron. Thanks for being on, Todd, and Néhémie, Amy. Always good to see you guys. Have a great weekend. And thanks all.
Great
Bye,
to see you.
everyone.
guys.
Happy Friday.
Thanks
Take
all.
care.
Meet you guys. Take care.
See you guys.